everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Pollywine, where we like to take a deep dive into stories pulled from the media and have a fun time while breaking it down. I'm Jillian, and let's get into it. First, I would like to start off to remember and honor the legend of entertainment, Robert Redford. Just the leading man of his time in front of the camera, to a credible director behind the camera, to a lover of the arts who started the Sundance Film Festival for the love of the independent films, and also an environmental activist later on in life. So just a well-rounded, wonderful human being, just an icon of an actor, and just what a loss for the entertainment world. So thank you for everything that you gave us, and what a life. So definitely we want to take a moment and remember such a gift. So thank you, Robert Redford, to his families, our condolences. We were so fortunate to have him with us, and we have such amazing memories in his movies and other actions. But let's just think about All the President's Men. What a great film. Out of Africa, there's just so many. Wow. Such a great actor. So what a huge loss to the world. But let's move on to some other topics. I want to just talk about one other thing that I just am so excited about. And this is going to work our way into the world of sports. Last week, yes, it is true, Randy Moss is back on to give us his opinions and his takes on Sunday football. So yes, my man, Randy Moss, is back on ESPN Sunday NFL Countdown. Thank you, Randy. I am so happy to see you back. We are all thrilled. It just wasn't the same without you. You look great. I hope you are feeling well. And we were with you the entire time when you were off on your medical leave. We were worried about you. We were sending thoughts and well wishes in your direction. And to see you back looking good, feeling strong. And I got to tell you, I've talked about this a million times before. As a girl who is originally from West Virginia, hearing that home West Virginia accent, oh, it is just kisses to my heart. So, Randy, I am happy to have you back. We missed you, Randy, and who loves you, baby? We are happy to have you back. So, it was not the same. It is not the same. I want to say, though, I've thought about this and I've had this conversation. I think, I mean, I love all the guys that do all the NFL shows on Sunday, Monday, Thursday, all the days that's football's on. They're all good. But I think there would be such a great spin-off show if you took Tom Brady, Gronk, Randy Moss, and probably who else could we throw in there? Michael Strahan. I think if you put those four together, just like around a table, just talking sports, smack talking, and I just think that would be such a great commentary. Having those four, like I said, you need Tom Brady, you need the Gronk, you need Strahan, and I need Randy Moss. So you put them there, just let them, freestyle. Talk about the game, go over plays that they're watching, and just riff off of each other, give each other smack. I think that is the show that we're missing. Give it a little bit of a podcast kind of feel. You want it to be free, kind of be an open space. I think that is what we all need. I want to laugh when I watch sports. I want to see them giving each other a little bit of shit. That's what sports is about. If you're not smack talking in sports, what are we doing? That is that's the byproduct of sports. We've got the action, we've got the work, and we've got the smack talk. So I think that's what we need. They all do a little bit here and there. But when you get those guys together, they all played against each other, right? And, with Moss, Gronkowski, and Brady, they all played together on the same team. But Strahan, who doesn't love Michael Strahan? And he played with them. He knows their game. They know his game. And you need somebody on the other side. So I think that is the force that we need to bring some highlights and some little opinion on NFL. That's just my thought. But Randy Moss, we are so happy to have you back. I love that guy. Now, from this high note, let's do a little shift into the world of politics because, whoa, it has been a very loaded week. So here we go. Trump has been traveling abroad. He went to London with the First Lady to meet with the royal family. He met with the king and the queen, and they had all the pomp and circumstance to welcome them. They had a beautiful carriage ride around the castle. The carriage ride. You see the royals with this gorgeous horse-drawn carriage riding through the main streets of London. They just did it a few months ago with French President Macron. Well, they did the carriage ride with Trump and the First Lady, but it was around Windsor Castle. This has been a very kind of closed situation there because there has been protest outside of the castle, and it's a little bit of a heated time politically right now. So for security purposes, they kept it quite closed when they were with the royal family. So all kind of kept in tightly right there at Windsor Castle. Interesting as we talk about protest and heated time because following last week what happened with the whole assassination at Utah Valley University. Just a horrific situation there. So with everything being heightened, we want to be safe and secure. So everything was cut there. But with the protest outside of the castle going on, there was one silent protest, if you will. And while there was a lot of functions going outside of Windsor Castle, this beautiful event, someone somewhere started projecting pictures on one of the large towers right there at Windsor Castle of Trump and Epstein, Trump, Melania and Epstein. It was a full slideshow. I mean, it was like the collage that everybody makes for like a family reunion. You have the one picture, boom, passes up, pops up nice, bright and wide. Another photo spins in, another one zooms out, zooms in. It was quite the slideshow. So, that was a very passive aggressive move. Silent, no one was hurt. I'm sure people were bothered. You could view that action as distasteful, but that is a peaceful, nonviolent protest right there. So you might find it ugly, distasteful, something that shouldn't be done at such a high profile event. But I'm going to say on the level of cattiness and pettiness, yeah, that I would say that's a checkmate. That's a checkmate, a tip of the hat. I'll give that a curtsy since we're dealing with the Royals, whatever. That, touche. That's all I'll say. Touche. That was quite the move. Even I was like, oh, can you imagine being one of the people there at Windsor Castle for this major event and outside clapping? This is what I'm imagining in my head. Horses, people, you have the soldiers, everything looks beautiful, majestic, regal. You're outside clapping, taking in the view, and then you look up and you're like, oh, look at that. Look at that photo slideshow. So, yeah, it was petty, it was catty, but if that's how you protest, that is how you do it. So there's been a lot of political protest here, and we want calm. So that's how you do catty. That's how you do catty. That's all I will say. But going back to this trip to the UK, a lot has happened. He met with the royals the other day, had a lovely dinner there, and then he met with the prime minister, and they met and spoke today. So back here in the U.S., so much is going on in the Hill this week. There's several high-profile hearings that have happened. One, the Senate Judiciary Committee grilled FBI Director Kash Patel on the handling of the Charlie Kirk incident. So he was met on the Hill for the handling of that. That was quite contentious. Then he had to come back the following day for the House Judiciary Committee to be grilled about the whole Epstein files. So 2 days in a row, Kash Patel on the Hill. Then we also had the Senate Help Committee met and talked with the former CDC director and another medical officer that was on the panel about the whole firing of her at the CDC, what actually happened there, why all the changes that are happening at the CDC. And the panel met today about vaccine regulations. And so it's a lot happening on the Hill, and it's a lot to kind of process. I just hope that we can move forward in the right direction and get some things done to better us. And as we talk about the shakeup at the CDC, well, let's work our way over to the entertainment world and television and talk about the shakeup at ABC. And that is the indefinite suspension of the Jimmy Kimmel Show. Well, on Monday evening, Jimmy Kimmel, during his opening monologue, made some remarks following the murder of Charlie Kirk. And you can call it distasteful, you don't like it, whatever your thoughts are about his comment. Well, he was yanked from the air, and the next day, ABC, the network, announced that they were pulling his show. Now, this is a tough one. Okay, you don't like his show, that's fine. You don't like what he said, that's fine. You find that it was a hideous comment, distasteful, whatever you feel is fine. But that should be protected under free speech, right? That should be protected under our Constitution. Now, following the Stephen Colbert and now Jimmy Kimmel, you can say Stephen Colbert, his show was canceled or not renewed because of losing money, not having the viewership, whatever. You can say it was a business move. That's one way to look at it. But this is very different. You can say the numbers weren't there, the viewership's not there. You can say that they were losing money, sure. But his contract, from what I read, Jimmy Kimmel's contract was up to be renewed in 2026. Similar with what Stephen Colbert had. His contract was up for renewal the following year. Well, with the Stephen Colbert said, we're just not going to renew the new season. We're going to finish this season out and walk away. Not here. Boom, we're pulling it. So overnight, everybody's losing their job. So think about that. Not just, okay, we're going to yank Jimmy Kimmel, but what about all the other innocent people that worked on that show, right? I don't know the number of people that work on the show. All of them lost their job. So in an economy where we need jobs, you just let off a whole bunch of people. So this is kind of uncharted territory about speech. I am nervous about what I can say. This is my livelihood. I talk about my opinions, my thoughts. That's what I put out there, and it makes me nervous if I still have the freedom and liberty to express myself in the way I always have. And it has been such a privilege, and I don't want to lose that. That is the one true thing about this country, is that we have free speech and it's protected. You don't have to like it at all, but it's protected. We have the right to do so. And seeing a backpedaling of that, in my opinion, makes me very, very nervous. And it does seem in opposition of the executive order that was put in early in this administration and that Trump openly spoke about on March 4th when he was speaking in front of Congress, speaking about this executive order and how free speech is protected. So now when you talk about that you want to go on social media, when Trump's saying that you're thrilled that ABC yanked Jimmy Kimmel and now you should look at NBC's late night talk show host, that definitely seems in contradiction of what you're promoting for is free speech. And let's not forget this. We were all so upset and offended by this cancel culture that we just went through that really went quite extreme in some cases. And we all were like, this cancel culture, cancel culture. Well, doesn't it seem like we're repeating that again? That's just my question, because it does seem like we are repeating that. And do we want to go there again? I don't want to say this is a slippery slope. It's like a full on luge downhill. So, this is unprecedented times. I am quite curious to see what Bill Maher is going to say about this. You don't want to forget, years ago, Bill Maher had a show called Politically Incorrect, and his show was yanked shortly after he made some remarks following 9/11. So I think he made a comment a few weeks ago following Stephen Colbert. But now with Jimmy Kimmel, I'm curious to what he has to say. And Jon Stewart, who usually hosts The Daily Show on Monday night, he is actually going to be hosting on Thursday night, presumably to talk about the whole Jimmy Kimmel cancellation. So we shall see. I will watch it. I want to see what he has to say. I am curious what John Oliver is going to say on his next episode. These guys have been around for a while, and I do like their political commentary, their spins. I like the humor behind it. Do I always agree with what they have to say? No. I watch all sides. I watch the left. I watch the right. I watch the middle. I want to hear it all from all sides. And sometimes I don't agree with everybody. So I like to take it all in and form my own opinions. I think that's what we're supposed to do. And more importantly, I love the art of debate and conversation. Those are the roots that we want to get back to, right? We want to have the art of debate and conversation. Let's keep it free, please, please. We should be able to say what we want. But I am curious what the pillars of late night want to say, and that's Bill Maher, Jon Stewart, and John Oliver. I'm very curious what they have to say. I did tune in this morning to watch The View. That is a show that's been around for a long time. Their whole first segment is all about hot topics, right? That's where we coined the phrase hot topics. That is what they are known for. Their debate, their conversations across party lines. That's why it's lasted and worked for so long. That is an ABC show. And I find it interesting that in Hot Topics, not one peep was mentioned about Jimmy Kimmel being yanked. Not one word. Not one word. So I don't want to say censorship, but it seems like there's some restriction on conversation there. Because I don't know how journalist and somebody on a talk show doesn't talk about another talk show host being yanked off the air for for a comment. And as they have all made comments, and I'm sure they've had backlash from some of the comments that the host on The View have said. But I just found it interesting. Not one word. I mean, there was a tightrope act of conversation, it felt like to me, skirting around that conversation. So, I was a little disappointed. So where does news and television go from here? I guess that's the bigger question. Where do we go from here? Um, I it's unsettling. I don't know. I don't want to say it gives me the ick, but it kind of gives me the ick. Like if you can't say what you think or feel, that how do you relate, connect? What are we talking about? I guess that's one hot topic for you today. And as we're talking about Jimmy Kimmel and some of our shows that we like to watch, well, let's get into some other television shows, movies, and documentaries. I've been a little under the weather, and this past weekend and week, I wasn't moving around a lot. So I was watching a lot of TV and Netflix. Let's go to you first. And I stumbled across this mini docu-series called Rebel Royals. And what this docu-series is about is this unusual pairing of the Princess of Norway, Martha Louise, and her soon-to-be husband, Shaman Derek Verrett. And this docuseries is leading up to the wedding, them filming leading up to the wedding, because this pairing is quite controversial in Norway. And many didn't accept this soon-to-be prince, Martha Louise, Princess of Norway, was married for many years to her first husband, had children, divorced, and a little while after her divorce, he passed away by suicide. Just terrible story. Just horrific what happened to her family, to her. Um, just this poor woman has really been through it. And you hear in this documentary journalists speak and some family members speak. And one of the journalists was saying, we sometimes have a love-hate with the princess, but we love that she's our Norwegian princess, and we will always love and respect her and be there for her because she has been through so much. We'll always be there for her, which was nice. But the media, I cannot imagine the scrutiny this girl has been under with the media her whole life. You've heard about the royals in the UK and what Meghan Markle went through, and you kind of see it happening in this documentary with this new guy coming in. So this woman's been through it with the media for her entire life, and then following the death of her first husband. Well, time goes by and she meets this man, Shaman Derek Verrett, and not your typical man that you would think that a royal would meet. And he's eclectic and spiritual, and Shaman Derek talks about what it's like to be the first Black man entering into this long line of royal families. And what a weird world to walk into. And he referred a few times about Meghan Markle and her experience. And he's like, that's the only thing I can relate to and I understand. And it was quite interesting to see his side to trying to break into this world, and just the full just force of the media coming after him and how they just scrutinize everything he's done and just looked up and turned over every rock in his past. And it must be so difficult. And you see that the princess, she's like, look, the first time I saw this man, I fell in love with him. And I knew that when I wanted to marry him, it was going to be difficult for the people of Norway to accept, because not only is he spiritual, he's a shaman. Not only is he a Black man, he has been very open that he's bisexual. So none of these things are normal or traditional by our old standards. So I knew this was going to be a lot for them to take, and I knew it was going to be hit hard in the media. And she's like, but I didn't know it would be this difficult. And it really got quite negative. The royal family, the mother, the king and queen, had to step in and say what this man has faced in the media is just unacceptable, and we will not have it. And um he went through this for a very long time, just negativity in the media before the royal family stepped in. And there has been pushback. And she actually, because of all the negativity in the press, she's actually had to take a step back, the princess, from her royal duties. And she's like, look, all I want to do is marry this man. I love him. He makes me happy. And that's all that matters. And he's also going through this major medical stuff right now. He had a kidney transplant years ago, was on dialysis, and he's doing well after this kidney transplant, but he's having issues now with the transplant, and he's back on a transplant list, and he's been dealing with some health issues there. So it's very scary. So they just want to have their moment of happiness and love. And you see the build up to the wedding, you see the wedding. The wedding looked great, and it looked so much fun. And I've been to some European weddings, and I got to tell you, that looked like the party to be at, because some of them are a little stiff. And for a royal wedding, I'm sure it's going to be a little stiff to have all those traditions. But that looked so much fun. So bring the fun to the royal family. They look like they need it, that's for sure. But I was really captivated by this love story, and just you need to mix it up and shake it up. So good for them. Rebel Royals on Netflix. Go watch the Princess of Norway marry the man of her dreams. So enjoy it. We all need a good love story. Enjoy that one. Also on Netflix, I watched a fantastic documentary. And when I say fantastic, I say fantastic. I couldn't turn it off or walk away. Bill Maher the other week interviewed Charlie Sheen, and they talked about this documentary on Netflix called AKA Charlie Sheen. And Bill Maher said, it's a 3-hour documentary. I was going to watch it in kind of like segments, because who can sit there and watch 3 hours straight, right? Well, he's like, I did. I couldn't walk away. As soon as I turned it on, I was in it. And I have to say, I felt the exact same way. I was going to watch a little bit here, but I wasn't feeling well, wasn't doing much. And I got to tell you, I was hooked from the get-go. First of all, great soundtrack. Fantastic soundtrack through the entire docuseries, and great clips from home videos, movies, great clips and footage put in throughout the documentary. I mean, the guy's been in everything. Such a great story. If there is a man that has experienced a life and has more lives than a cat, that is Charlie Sheen. Actually, I take that back. The only other person I've ever said that has more lives than a cat, and I think all medical research should really be based on, especially in like neuroscience, that's Keith Richards. That man has more lives than a cat, and so does Charlie Sheen. Those two should be studied by science. And Sean Penn said that in the documentary too. Sean Penn was in it. He had a couple family members, friends, other people that he has worked with, like John Cryer. Just a great documentary. He was quite open, talked about drug use, his sexual past history, growing up in Hollywood with a celebrity father, what that was like. Really, really great watch. He has a memoir that just came out called The Book of Sheen. By the way, great title. Great title. I do want to read that, but if you don't have a chance to read the book or listen to it on Audible, then please take some time, break it up if you need to. Watch AKA Charlie Sheen on Netflix. It is a really good documentary. I mean, you hear it all. You hear it all. And if you want to hear the ups and downs of Hollywood, the privileges, what it's like to be on highs and lows. When I say this man has lived a life, this man has lived a life. There is something to be said. Like I said, this comes back to Keith Richards and Charlie Sheen. There's something to be said about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And whoa, have they lived that life? Wow, what a watch. Go watch it on Netflix. Netflix, you've had some good documentaries lately, so thank you. Also, now let's work our way over to Apple TV, The Morning Show. Thank you. You've been off for several years on break while you're filming the new season. They came back this week. You had Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon back in action. The girls are together. They pick right up where they left off. It's a good watch. The dynamic duo at The Morning Show are back. Apple TV Plus. Go catch it. It's always a good show. If you haven't watched this series now, go back and watch the other seasons. The last season really was close, that the whole Amy Robach, TJ Holmes situation. So the last season was really good, but we just dropped the first episode of season 4, so go catch up. Now, I always like to end off on a high note, a little bit messy style. So we always go over to our world of Bravo and sometimes Peacock. That is because we have been talking about it for weeks now. We got our fill this week, and that is because the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City are back. Yes, that's right. We got them, ladies. Season 6 dropped this week, and boom, it's on. The fighting continues. I love the breakdown that Heather told us in the beginning. She's like, so let me give you a rundown of where we all stand right now. Meredith hates Brittany. Okay. And I kind of thought everybody hated Brittany. Heather, I kind of get the feeling you don't really like Brittany either. I don't know how she came back, but she's back. I don't know how. Brittany, you better bring it this season because this might be your last because no one likes you. On the show, that's my opinion. I'm not getting that, and I have a hard time watching. You just keep circling the drain and the whole Jared thing. Nobody cares. But Heather Gay's breakdown. Meredith doesn't like Brittany. Okay. Let's see. Bronwyn, Whitney, and Angie K have an issue with Lisa. So that breakdown was funny. So she's giving the whole laydown. And then, oh God, Mary Cosby. She is so funny. When they were fly fishing, she's like, can we save the fish? Can we resuscitate it? And the look of the guy's face, Dusty, who she kept calling Gusty, the fly fishing instructor, that look he was giving her, and she was like, can we put it on a rock and resuscitate it with some chest compressions? The way he was staring at her, just utterly confused. I laughed so hard. Mary, it's so good to have you back. I am so thrilled. I don't know what happened with this whole camping trip. I wouldn't call that a trip. I'd call that torture. To show up in an RV when you send out an invitation, bikinis, boots, blessings. That's what it was. That's not fair. That is not fair. And then roll up in an RV and did not go that far away in a muddy, snowy campground. That sounds like hell. And all the women were not happy. You can see like, oh God, we're going camping? Really? And then you have Mary Cosby like, I've been camping most of my life, but not with 8 women. No, I'm with you there. So the fighting is back on. The bad trip started off already because what is it about Salt Lake City? Like, they really falter a lot. A little shaky when it comes to the trips. Like, they're kind of, out of all the housewives, their trips are really like the most low budget and kind of like the bottom of the barrel. So you see them later in the seasons. You've seen the trailer that they do go to Greece and they meet up with Captain Jason from Below Deck Down Under. But this camping trip was bad. He didn't have all the supplies. It was snowy. It was muddy. It sounded awful. It was cold. To have sandwiches and a picnic table in the mud, no thank you. But at least we got a conversation around the campfire, and Whitney was forthcoming about her businesses and they failed. And some of that comes out because that's been in the media. They bring up some of the situations with Lisa Barlow and her businesses. There's been some legal stuff going on there that's been in the media lately too. So they talk about that. So they're bringing the drama, they're bringing back the fighting, they're bringing the cattiness, and that is what is Salt Lake City is known for, and they are back. So Bravo starting up with Salt Lake City. So Brahma, thank you for bringing us our ladies back from Salt Lake City. You've got some new shows and new seasons to come down the road shortly. So we're ready. We're here. And I'll be bringing it to you. So thank you so much for being with us today. It has been a pleasure being with you. Please follow us on Instagram at PollyWineTime. And please listen to Pollywine wherever you get your podcast. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time and have a great day.